Don't tell me I'm a disappointment.
No. Just a little bit easier to kill.
Kang the Conqueror was once an enemy of the Fantastic Four, but he has since evolved into not just one of the most formidable adversaries of the Avengers, but also a recurrent adversary for the Marvel world as a whole. Since his debut in 1963, he has engaged in battle with a wide variety of heroes, which contributes to his status as a famous Marvel character. Despite the fact that Kang the Conqueror is a recurring bad guy in Marvel's canon, he has not yet made an appearance in any of the movies produced by Marvel. The Marvel Cinematic Universe will be moving in a new path in the next few years, so now is a good moment to investigate Kang the Conqueror's abilities and his reasons for doing what he does. Therefore, continue watching to discover all 10 of Kang the Conqueror's well-hidden secrets. Kang the Conqueror appeared as Loki. Fans have been given a glimpse of a potential future form of Kang the Conqueror in the first season of Loki on Disney+. This comes as fans are anxiously expecting to see a more recognizable version of Kang the Conqueror on the big screen in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Jonathan Majors, the protagonist of Lovecraft Country, made an appearance in the story as the monarch of the Time Variance Authority, who was around at the end of time and was given the name He Who Remains. This interpretation of the character dropped hints about his past as a conqueror, which did nothing but build anticipation for Kang's upcoming appearance in the MCU. He could be a descendant of Mr. Fantastic and Dr. Doom. It's possible that Kang's true name, Nathaniel Richards, is the aspect of him that other people find the most intriguing. There has been some speculation, though it has never been proven conclusively, that Kang is a probable descendant of Reed Richards, also known as Mr. Fantastic. However, there was a period when Kang really believed Dr. Doom to be his ancestor, despite the fact that different authors have approached this topic in a variety of ways. There are still people who believe this convoluted and hotly debated hypothesis, which is one of the many things that keep the mystery surrounding this character's ancestry so interesting. Because the villain is a persistent nemesis of the Fantastic Four, the possibility of a link between them raises the stakes for the plot. Kang wielded the Reality Stone as a member of the Infinity Watch. Once again, a villain known as Requiem collected the Infinity Stones in hopes of achieving his goal of halving the population of the universe by fusing personalities together in a series of memorable Infinity Warps. Loki was one of the few characters that remained untouched by the event, and he was given the responsibility of creating a new version of the Infinity Watch. In order to assist him, Loki splintered a few of the fused identities, one of which was a new version of Kang, who had been mixed with Miss Marvel and was given the name Kamala Kang. They joined up with Hulk, Ant-Man, and Emma Frost to form Loki's temporary Infinity Watch, with Kang assuming possession of the Reality Stone in preparation for the decisive confrontation against Devondra, who had the Soul Stone. Kang uses characters to fight his battles as the CHRONOS Corps. Kang has used Rick Jones' Destiny War tactic more than a few times over the years, pulling Marvel heroes and villains from various points in time to fight on his side in significant battles. One example of this is when Kang engaged in an unwinnable battle with Ultron in the future of the next Avengers, which ultimately resulted in the destruction of time. In order for the Avengers to rescue the timeline, they had to go across time and encourage Ultron to fail. When the Apocalypse Twins' plan resulted in the destruction of Earth and the creation of a new mutant planet, Kang assembled a team of characters from other times to assist him and the Uncanny Avengers in reversing the events. This team included Strife, Earth Venom, Axis Dr. Doom 2099, Iron Man 2020, Magistrate Braddock, and Abomination. He raised the Apocalypse Twins and tried to eradicate mutants. Uriel and Iman were the Apocalypse Twins, and their birth and subsequent rise to power as leaders of the mutant species in the future would have posed a danger to Kang's dominion. Kang took preemptive precautions and kidnapped the twins while they were still infants, so that he could rear them according to his own cruel techniques. When the Apocalypse Twins were adolescents, they ran away from their adoptive father and aggressively campaigned against him to establish their own empire. Eventually, they succeeded in doing so. However, it was finally revealed that Kang's manipulations were a plot to eradicate mutant kind as an overall future danger. However, he was stopped by the Uncanny Avengers. Kang completely destroyed Washington, D.C. to prove his strength. One of Marvel's most impressive coups occurred in the story The Kang Dynasty, which was written by Kurt Busiek and illustrated by a group of artists. In this story, Kang and his son Marcus, who had taken over his father's old role as the Scarlet Centurion, successfully overthrew the governments of the world and claimed control. The long-running tale had a number of notable incidents, one of which being the total and utter destruction of Washington, District of Columbia, along with all of his inhabitants so that Kang could demonstrate his superior might. Even though the devastation cannot be undone, the Avengers were eventually successful in stopping Kang and restoring order. He once merged with Dr. Doom and the Nihilus. After meeting and falling in love with Princess Ravonna and rescuing her from her own unfortunate timeline, the younger version of Nathaniel Richards, who had previously been known as Iron Lad and has assisted in the formation of the Young Avengers, made the decision to advance his own evil timeline and assume the identity of Kid Immortus. He started working with a younger version of Dr. Doom and Annihilus, which eventually led to their merging into a mighty creature known as Doom, the Annihilating Conqueror, in an alternative universe. Despite this, 2 incarnations of the Fantastic Four were successful in preventing the union from taking place, and Kid Immortus was never allowed to assume his adult form. Kang saved Rick Jones during the Destiny War. Avengers Forever, written by Kurt Busiek and Carlos Pacheco, made an effort to clear up some of the murky waters in Marvel's timeline, which had been partly created by Kang himself over the course of the years. As a consequence, Immortus made an attempt to eliminate a longtime ally of the Avengers named Rick Jones. Jones was powered by the Destiny Force, which Immortus had tracked to a potentially disastrous future that he intended to avert. However, Kang the Conqueror came to defend Rick Jones. In order to assist him in the struggle against Kang the Conqueror and Immortus during Destiny War, Jones assembled an Avengers squad comprised of members from various points of time and periods. He raised Black Bolt's son Ahura to wipe out Inhumans. Black Bolt, the ruler of Inhumans, wanted to protect his son Ahura from the events that would later become known as the Secret Wars, so he sent him back in time with Kang. Ahura's presence in the past prevented those events from occurring. Kang gave his assent on the understanding that he would be allowed to retain Ahura. Despite this, Kang was able to control Ahura and deceive him into exterminating the Inhumans in the past, which ultimately led Ahura to assume the role of Kang as an adult. Although the Inhumans were compelled to take the life of an adult Ahura, they were successful in rescuing their infant son from the past. Kang had great links to the Avengers and the Fantastic Four prior to the publication of this more current comic narrative, which gave him a strong connection to the Inhumans as well. This assisted in establishing Kang as an even more significant adversary who continues to deepen his roots in Marvel mythology. His younger self became Iron Lad. Iron Lad was a member of the Young Avengers and was a favorite of the fans. He had an appearance that was similar to Iron Man's, and he was the one who was responsible for creating the band of Avengers-related juvenile heroes. Fans, as well as his other comrades, were taken aback when they discovered the Iron Lad was really a younger version of Kang the Conqueror. The attempt by Kang to persuade his younger self to embrace his destined path through life was unsuccessful when he journeyed back in time. Iron Lad was planning to assassinate his future self, but he ended up killing his future self instead, which caused a temporal paradox that could only be resolved when Iron Lad traveled back in time to the past to fulfill his destiny and become Kang the Conqueror. Bonus hidden secrets: he will eventually become Immortus. Kang the Conqueror's abilities continued to develop far into the future, and he eventually became the Time Lord known as Immortus. Kang made a decision to give up his existence as Kang in order to serve the Timekeepers from the temporal Limbo realm after he became exhausted from battling and suffering the loss of loved ones across various timelines. The Timekeepers were extraterrestrial beings from the very edge of the cosmos who selected Immortus to serve as their avatar and protect the timelines from anyone who would disrupt them, including Immortus' younger self. During the course of his fight against his earlier self to preserve the chronology, Immortus often discovered that he was on the side of the Avengers and other heroes. He created a human identity to observe the Age of Heroes. One variant of Kang pursued a different strategy in his mission to dominate the modern era and established a home base on Earth in the present day. This setup gave him the ability to covertly monitor and gradually influence the progression of time. Kang utilized the human persona he invented for himself to establish the town of Timely, Wisconsin. He established companies and enterprises that thrived for decades and eventually became industry leaders in the field of robotics technology. Kang utilized androids when he wasn't around to keep up the appearance that he was still alive, as the guys aged and fathered children throughout the years. In reality, all of those offspring were Kang's. Additionally, Wisconsin was used as an entry point to Kang's Chronopolis, which was located outside of the boundaries of the standard time stream. Kang was inspired by Dr. Doom to create his own armor. The relationship between Dr. Doom and Kang the Conqueror goes back a very long way. The time-traveling villain first encountered the armored monarch of Latveria, while the latter was serving as Pharaoh Ramatut. This was the first time they had crossed paths. Kang came up with the idea for his new costumed persona, the Scarlet Centurion, after being influenced by the royal bearing and armor of Doom. As Kang sought to take control of the contemporary day, he used this new persona to influence the course of events across the Avengers timeline. Even though his stint as the Scarlet Centurion was a failure, a different version of the character would go on to become a successful conqueror in the future, and Kang's son, Marcus, would eventually take on the job as well. And that's it! Share with us in the comments section below any more hidden facts about Kang the Conqueror that you are aware of. Click the like button if you'd like to see more videos just like the one you're watching now. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll be waiting for you in the next video.